Okay, go. You go. You're so much better at the introductions than I am.
I know. Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. I'm Danny.
And I'm Maria.
And today we're going to be reviewing Tearsmith.
Yay! Okay, before we start, let's back up for 5 seconds. So typically we are use this channel to spread cosmetic awareness, and we do a lot with, because we're both cosmetic science and we both love the beauty industry, but we're both avid readers and movie watchers as well, I guess. So we thought it would be fun to kind of just also do some reviews of movies and books and TV shows that we've watched. So also stay tuned for those as well. I think that's it.
Yeah.
But also, if you love anything cosmetics and beauty, we have tons of that stuff on our channel as well.
Let's get into it.
Yeah. Basically, we're following this girl, what's her name? Nika, and it's supposed to mean butterfly in Italian.
Really?
That's like their whole thing. Like that's the whole where it's like, oh, and then the person's like, why would you be named after something that barely lives a day?
Now that makes more sense with like her necklace.
And then, yeah. But anyway, so her name's Nika, and we open, and basically she's in a car with her parents, and a wolf runs by, of all things. I had so many questions because I was like, how fast are they going? Because I looked it up, and I think wolves could only run like at most 40 miles an hour. And that wolf was going past the car.
Anywho.
And then basically she was like, oh, Nika was like, I hate wolves. And the mom was like, just because somebody made them a bad guy doesn't mean they're really bad guys, which kind of just summarizes the whole story, basically.
So basically she becomes an orphan and goes to an orphanage called like Sunny Creek Orphanage.
I have no idea what the orphanage
Yeah, they
is
say
called.
the orphanage's true name a couple times because everyone who's in the orphanage calls it grave.
Yeah.
For a very deep reason that we'll get into later in the story. That's where we meet the headmistress. Is that what they're called?
The headmistress, or like the person who runs the orphanage.
Her name is Miss Margaret.
Yeah.
Yeah. And right off the bat we meet her love interest. Rigel.
I thought it was Rigel.
Rigel?
I thought that was the name.
It's R-E.
No, wait, I have no idea. I thought it was... Why would it be Rigel?
Regal?
Oh, yeah.
Rigel?
I thought it was... like, Rigel's a name.
Okay. The way that they say it just sounds better than Rigel.
Yeah,
we
probably.
Can say Rigel.
Rigel.
Let us know in the comments.
Something. We'll just call him Loverboy.
Certified pedophile.
Certified lover boy, certified pedophiles. Wah.
But we meet Rigel, and he plays the piano, and he's a very beautiful, tall, dark hair. So, beautiful jaw.
When
chiseled man.
When she arrives at the orphanage, I thought it was weird because they were all just standing there to greet her, and so she meets, and like her mom's necklace basically gets taken by Rigel because the headmistress told her to, and then she also meets her like best friend Adeline, which is like, and then I thought it was so petty because they're like, how long have you been at the orphanage? And then Adeline was like, I'm ugly. And so people think I look sick. Literally verbatim. She was like, I'm ugly and pale, so people think I look sick. So nobody wants to adopt me. And I was like, oh my gosh. But they're instant. And then like, Nika doesn't say no. She's just like, oh.
Yeah, I was like, I get it.
But they're like best friends.
Then I think it just cuts to like 5, 6, 7 years later.
Because that's when she was younger, so it was like maybe like 10-ish when her parents died, and then it cuts to when she's like high school, and she's actually finally getting adopted. And then it goes back and forth between like her present time and then her time at the orphanage, where we get to kind of know a little bit more about how it was in the orphanage and like all of the trauma she has from it, essentially.
So basically, as she's getting adopted by who are her parents' names? Her mom's name is Anna, and I don't remember her dad's name.
I don't even think they say the dad's name.
Right? Okay.
I don't even know what he looks like.
I agree. Anna is like the main caregiver
Yeah.
in the family unit. I feel like the dad was just kind of there to be a dad for looks. But as she's getting quote unquote adopted, they're walking and then Rigel's playing the piano. He's being mysterious and beautiful. And they're like, whoa, who is that?
And I was so confused because I was like, how are you just gonna randomly adopt a kid because they're playing a piano? Like, don't you need paperwork? But then we find out that their son, who died, used to play the piano. And I was like, okay, that's actually really sad. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I guess that could, like, be...
a reason.
Yeah.
But then we also find out as they're coming home from the orphanage that this isn't a permanent adoption process. It's more of like a trial. And that Nico's very confused because Rigel has been wanted to be adopted by many people and he's turned it down by many people. Yeah. So it's very weird that out of everyone he could have been adopted by, he's going with the people who wanted to adopt her.
Yeah, basically. Another thing about Rigel that I thought was really interesting is his relationship with Miss Margaret. I had this whole thought process in my head. I was like, I feel like she kidnapped him because she was very, because he doesn't know who his parents are. And so I was like, and she's just been like, he was her favorite, basically. And I don't know, it was just a little weird kind of relationship they had. Like, he did not really like her, but she was like, my baby, like, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, it feels very, like, I don't know. Was he really an orphan?
That's fair. That's a mystery. And you'll find out that there are a lot of plot points that they start and they never end. I'm really annoyed by it. We'll get to it when we get to it. So they start school. Immediately we know that Nika and Rigel have this weird relationship because he keeps calling her Ma.
Yeah.
And he keeps saying that he's the wolf in her fairy tale, that they can't be together, but he's like, don't talk to me, don't touch me. But he's also the one
who instigates most of everything.
And we're like, chill, oh my god.
And then there's a whole thing, so it's like called the Tearsmith, and it's like this whole story because like she's like, you're my Tearsmith. And it's like this whole thing where basically the story is that nobody could cry in the story, and then the Tearsmith would fashion tears out of, or like he had tears of glass that he would give to people to allow them to feel emotion. And they're like, we'd rather feel anything, even if it is sadness, just to feel anything. And I feel like there was something else, but that's basically the storyline. And she's like, you're my Tearsmith. Like, I guess you're the one who makes me feel all of these emotions, even though they're not amazing emotions. Like, I don't know where you're going with that.
Right. I don't understand why it's called Tearsmith. I don't remember them talking about the story of the Tearsmith either.
It's like really at the beginning of the movie. It's like the first thing where she's like going to the orphanage and they're like describing the Tearsmith.
Nika and Rijo's relationship is really weird. A lot of like sexual tension and like
much sexual
angst. And they're like adopted brother and sister.
But they just never get caught. And I'm like, how does no one see this?
Every time they like have intimacy together, it's like, why do you kiss everywhere but her lips?
No, okay, he literally devours her. Like, you're just sitting here and you're like, there's, like, I didn't even know you could kiss that many places. Like, it's just like...
It's like her body. It's not like her lips.
It is like this, like, it's almost weird infatuation. Like, it's just, like, so weird.
It's so weird.
I don't know.
Anywho, first day of school. Olivia Rodrigo's Vampire plays.
No, yeah.
It's so good, but it's so weird.
When they're dropping the part where she almost gets hit by the car,
Oh,
and
yeah.
he pulls her back, and I was like, It was very much Twilight coded.
It was, yeah.
It was very interesting. But yeah, she gets friends like that. Like literally 5 seconds walking in, befriended. And I was like, wow, must be nice.
To be conventionally attractive. She meets friends, she goes to her class, and then immediately Rigel and some kid are like fighting.
Yeah.
And we're like, why are you like this?
I think it's because like I think the kid whispers like, oh, I'm going to like, you know, hook up with the new girl, like right that, and it's like we hear him say it, and then we see Rigel walk by like a couple of seconds later, and they have this intense eye contact, and Rigel's just basically looking at him like, you mean nothing to me, like, and then it cuts to the fight. Oh, the blonde boy. I just called him Blonde Boy.
Lina.
His name is Blonde Boy.
He is like every rich boy coded. I can get away with anything. No consent. Consent who? Like,
in my notes, I just have ew.
He gives the ick.
Like major ick.
So basically, he is like the third love interest that pushes Nika and Rigel together.
Who's the second?
Rigel.
Oh.
Well, because like the main two couples are Nika and Rigel or whatever. And then there's like the third person, because there always has to be a love triangle that pushes the main two together, and it's Lionel, and he's just like disgusting.
Like actually disgusting.
Yeah, he just like keeps showing up at our house. He keeps being like, do you want to go on dates with me?
Half the time as the audience, you're like, is he serious? Or is he just trying to like hook up with her? But like he does some deranged things where you're like, dude, it's not that deep.
Yeah, I don't know. He definitely is that boy that can't handle the rejection, so then he gets obsessed with a girl that doesn't want him.
Yeah.
Even though he doesn't even like her. He just wants to, like, fuck her. They go on an ice cream date, and Rigel sees them go, and he gets really sad.
Like,
because
so sad boy.
He, like, keeps watching her from his window, and she always looks up at him when he's watching her and walks away.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
It's so, like, the whole movie is just so brooding. Like, he just broods so much. I'm like, I've never seen anyone brood that much. Like, dude, calm down.
Like, you could definitely tell there's something going on in his mind. Like, he's always thinking of her, and he's always a little sad about it. And it's okay. It's the same with her. But
no, it really is.
A little less angsty.
Yeah.
Like skips to the next day where she's like bringing laundry to his room. She finds his drugs. And immediately we're like, oh my god, he's a bad boy.
He's on drugs.
He's so hot, but he's on drugs. And he starts fights.
Well, no, because I think the drugs was like
because he has a disease.
I don't know.
But he has a disorder.
It was something because like we see cut back to the orphanage where like he's sick all the time, and like that was like a big thing, and it's like, oh, Rigel's sick again, blah blah blah.
I don't think she puts two and two together. I just think I think that Nika thinks he's just a bad boy. He's just doing like bad things,
which is kind of dumb because it's kind of not. I don't know.
I was a bad girl.
I was a bad girl. I did some bad things.
There's like this rose day where you can receive different color roses, and it like tells you like from like, you know, an interesting person or like a love interest. And Nika's like, oh, I probably am gonna nut rose. I'm new, and she gets a black rose.
A black rose. Who do we think that's from? Oh my god.
And so she's pissed, and so she confronts Rigel.
Yeah.
And she's like, did you send me this? Did you send me?
Basically, she confronts Rigel and is like, why are you trying to ruin my life? and somehow they end up on the bed together.
Yeah. And it's just like, it's very interesting.
There are also things that happen before this where they go family shopping and they're in the fitting room.
I forgot about
She goes and she tries on a dress and she's in the fitting room and she's like, I need help with my zipper. Mom, help me. And her mom doesn't come. Guess who comes?
Rigel.
And she doesn't look back. So from we only see things from her point of view, so we don't know that it's actually him, but
Yeah.
we know it's him.
Yeah.
Because everything kind of gets, like, the
Yeah.
camera work. It's more sensual.
Yeah.
She breathes a little heavier, and it's more intimate. And then she turns back finally, and no one's there.
No one. It's just like a ghost.
Yeah, and then she starts getting a panic attack.
Yeah.
And we get more flashbacks to when she was at the orphanage, and we find out that, like, she was tied up.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, on a bed.
Yeah.
Like, she was not in a good situation at the orphanage. So we
She's
kind of
definitely
get
tortured. We don't know fully, like, I think to
What
the
happened.
stream of, like, what happened, but it was
Yeah.
just, like, she was in, like, a torturous situation where she was
Mm-hmm.
out of control, and I think it was when she was putting on a belt, like, she
Mm-hmm.
felt that, and she had, like, a full-on, like, panic
Panic
attack
attack.
within the dressing room.
I think we skip to the next day after that
Hmm.
panic attack, and she's talking to her mom in the garden.
Yeah.
And then we get another flashback where she talks about Miss Margaret and how Miss Margaret knew all their desires and stamped out any love they had, except Rigel.
Yeah. And it's
Except
like...
Rigel's. Sorry.
No, it's like basically like this whole thing where it's like we see like Miss Margaret's technically like the villain. Like it's portrayed as like Rigel's this bad person, like, and that's why they can't be together or something. But like Miss Margaret is like the true villain of the story. Like even when Nika just came to the orphanage, she was like, oh, crime will bring your parents back. So, like, why are you doing it? Like, it's just, like, very much like she is this terrible human being, except she had a sweet spot for Rigel.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah.
And, yeah, she just treated all the kids in the orphanage really bad.
Yeah.
Is what we're getting from this. So, after all of this happens, there's another fight. But this fight is between Lionel and Rigel after their date getting ice cream.
Blonde boy.
Yeah. And then I think Lionel sends a video of him getting beat up by Rigel.
Like, he sends
Nika.
it, like, just like he has a cut lip.
Yeah.
He's like, look what your lover boy did. Look what you did.
Yeah. And she goes and she confronts him or something.
Yeah.
But he's, like, sick.
Yeah, he's like
he was out in the rain. He's
on
feverish.
the floor.
He's, like, breathing heavily. And she's like, oh, my God, what's wrong?
And then he, like, collapses and she's,
Yeah.
like, dragging him upstairs. And, like, luckily, like,
the parents aren't home.
oh, the parents are home and there's this massive flood. So they're not coming home for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And so who's gonna take care of him? Oh, no.
So basically, they're in bed together, and he's like, don't leave me.
Yeah.
And she's like, Well, what is she gonna do?
Yeah.
She's not gonna leave him. But he's basically like groping, like touching all up and down her body.
Yeah.
Kissing all up and down her body, and she's just like, taking it.
It's basically like, in my head, I thought, like, I feel like he was like, the only cure for my sickness is you. Like, that's what the scene was, basically.
It's so true. It's so Wattpad coded.
Because, like, he's, like, has this fever, and he's just, like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's, like,
his medicine.
it's, like, he devours her.
It's really weird. I if you liked it, I'm sorry. I didn't like it. It wasn't hot or sexy to me. I would have just liked if they had sex. But they did.
It was very much...
Right. But
yeah.
also, as they're having this really intimate moment, we get more flashbacks at the orphanage. Where we see when Nika first entered the orphanage, and then we see that she had a butterfly necklace from her mother, and Miss Margaret was like, you're not allowed to have anything from your previous life here in the orphanage. Rigel, take it from her, and he takes it from her, and instead of throwing it away like Miss Margaret asked, he keeps it in a cute like tin locket.
Yeah.
And you kind of see that he has like a soft spot for her immediately.
Yeah.
And then also we see her best friend again, Adeline.
Yeah.
Talk to Rigel. She seems to be like the friend of both.
Yeah.
And she notices right away that like Rigel really likes her.
Because he does the thing where like Miss Margaret was gonna punish Nika, and then he like cuts her hand.
Yeah, and
like
I'm
cuts
like,
his hand. Cuts his
you're
hand.
a hardcore ass 10.
Like literally slices his hand to
with
take
a butter knife.
to take the attention off of Nika. And then Adeline, she's like, you did that on purpose. He's like, why would I do that?
I don't know what you're talking about. And we also learned that Nika was the worst to get punished.
Yeah.
Probably because Rigel liked her,
Yeah.
and that when she was being punished, he would hold her hand.
Yeah.
And like, Nika thought it was Adeline who was holding her hand and not Rigel. And Adeline is like, why don't you just tell her how you feel? And of course he can't because he's a wolf. And no one could love him. It's Rigel's birthday. And she hasn't been in contact with Lionel for a while, but we see as she's buying a gift for Rigel that Lionel just stops her in the street and breaks her gift.
Literally.
And he's like, I don't like that he's in your life.
Yeah.
And she's like,
he's
well,
always
he's
gonna
in
be
my
like, I don't know how to help you.
And he's like, well, I'll buy him another gift because I broke that one. And she's like, no, it's the only thing he would have liked because he doesn't like gifts. And then she just walks away.
Yeah, literally. And I'm like,
and
we never hear about the gift again.
Yeah, ever again. She doesn't give him anything else.
Yeah. Well.
Anywho, there's the piano scene that comes after. No, just kidding. Before that, they're
It's
having
the party.
a barbecue.
Yeah. It's like for his birthday.
Where they invite like their friends, I guess.
Which was weird.
Because we've never seen them before, heard of them before this scene.
And so it's like, why for his birthday?
Yeah, would they invite like only one set of friends, one family?
Yeah.
But it gets really weird because we find out that their friend's daughter used to date their son who had passed away, and she was basically accusing the adopted parents, Anna and her husband, like, you're just replacing your son, and I really loved him, and blah, 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 blah. And it was just...
They also make the announcement that they're making the adoption official, I think, during that time as well, and that's when she, like, blows up. She's like, you're just gonna replace them?
Yeah. And it was not fun.
Yeah.
They also invited Adeline to this dinner. Yeah, and she's turning like 18. So she's able to go to the city to get work, and she was able to like come and be away from the orphanage. And during this time, after the big blow up with the family and friends, Adeline and Nika are talking in the kitchen, and Adeline is saying that a group of orphans are coming together to testify against Miss Margaret, and that Nika's testimony would be very compelling against their case.
Because she was hurt the worst.
Nika says no, because she's in this mindset of like, I'm a broken child who wants to start anew. I don't want to bring that into my life, which like I can understand.
Yeah, it's just going back to more trauma.
But she initially says no. During the nighttime, we see Rigel's playing the piano, and she goes up to Rigel in a white nightgown, might I ask you. No bra, probably no underwear. White ass nightgown, coming up to him, and I think they're just kind of talking.
Well, then, isn't this when Blonde Boy comes, and then she runs out, mind you, in a white nightgown, into the rain, and then he's like, you were just with him now, dressed like that, and then it closes up on her boobs.
And it's like, we see everything.
Everything.
Because it's white. You're going to see everything, and it was very interesting. And he basically forces a kiss on her.
Yeah.
And it's really yucky. Like, it's
so
gross
bad
to see, because she's constantly telling this guy, like, I don't like you.
Yeah.
Like, stop coming to my house on random nights asking for me.
Yeah. And of course, Rigel's just like, go be with your blonde prince.
Yeah, this is the first time we see him like sad. Like
he's like he's just like, and I'm like,
he's sad.
He's so tortured. I'm like, dude,
he's a tortured soul, and I can save him.
And then she's basically like, no, like. And, like, basically what I got from the scene is, like, she basically offers herself up as his birthday present. Like, that's what I got.
If I'm being honest, I should have said this in the beginning of our video. I skipped through a lot of this. If it was too much for me, I would skip it and get to the plot.
Well, basically, she's just like, I didn't get you anything for your birthday, but I'll get you whatever you want. And then he's like, whatever I want. And he's like, what if I don't want you to move? And then he like leans closer, and then they just start like going at it, and he licks her straight up the face. Just goes. And I'm like, what is happening right now?
It's a lot, and I still don't think they've had sex. They just have a lot of like licking,
Yeah.
a lot of smooching.
Yeah.
Anywho, we skip forward to the dance, the school dance. Might I ask you? I don't know if it's Halloween. I'm thinking it's
It has
Halloween.
to be because they're all kind of like dressed up as something.
Yeah, or they're dressed. Everything's all black.
Yeah.
It's pretty gothy.
Yeah, gothic.
And like there are no dresses. I just wanted to say it's a school dance.
yeah,
No dresses.
Yeah.
Also, in the middle of this, we find out that Mickey
Oh,
and
yeah,
Billy
yeah. The
are
two
best
friends, yeah.
But Mickey has had a crush on Billy for forever.
Yeah.
And is the one that gets her rose every year.
Yeah.
And then right before the dance, Billy is like, I know who got me my rose. I asked him and he said yes. It's this one guy. I don't remember his name.
Yeah.
And
Doesn't
then
matter.
Mickey's like, it wasn't. It was me.
I love you.
And it kind of came out of nowhere because the last time we had explored this, literally there's no consent. Mickey just is to a sleeping Billy, goes and kisses her. And then Nika sees and she's like, don't tell her. So I'm thinking, why are you telling her now?
Yeah, it was just really bad timing, and it was just so random out of everything else that was going on.
And then we never come back to
At
it.
all.
Ever. We see that Billy at the dance is getting plastered
Drunk,
because she doesn't know
wasted.
how else to cope.
Yeah.
And then we never come back to it.
I don't think
ever.
we see them ever again.
No, we don't.
Like, at all.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Like-
it for them in the
Like,
movie.
they're just not friends anymore, I guess. But at the dance, Nika's there.
With Blonde Boy.
With Blonde Boy.
I think he dressed up as a Joker. I like him so much better as a Joker.
Me too. That's the first time he, like, looked
Yeah,
appealing.
he looked appealing. I was like, okay. Blonde Boy is a Joker.
Yeah, but, like, he basically goes up to her and is like, I wanted to apologize. Can we just, like, dance as friends?
Yeah.
And so she's like, sure. And while this is happening, we see that Rigel's, like, very hurt, very
Yeah.
tortured soul, and finally comes clean to Anna and is like, can I tell you something? We don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But we basically just see him pack a bag and start walking after, so we can
Which-
assume.
I was like, where are you going walking?
Right.
Like, he's walking just, like, on a random bridge. And
Yeah.
I was like, where are you going?
And then he walks to the end of the bridge and turns back. And you know he's going to Nika.
And
no
perfect
reason.
timing, too, because Blonde Boy is up to something.
Dude, I thought this could be a redemption thing.
Yeah.
But immediately.
No.
he
I
was
think he
going
drugs
to-
her.
Yeah, he does something because we don't see her drink.
Yeah.
But as they're dancing, Nika's like, I'm not feeling good. I'm feeling really dizzy. I've never felt this way.
And then he signals to someone. It's really, like mild or, like, but he goes, like, and then it's, like, come help
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
Like, it was, like,
Yeah.
I was like, what is happening right now?
I knew he was going to take advantage of her. From the minute he did that, I was like, ugh,
Yeah,
ick.
yeah.
Don't trust him.
Well,
And-
because then I thought he was gonna do something cute because then the
Right.
stars, like, he basically makes this, like, projector and he projects this beautiful star and he's like, oh, look. And then, like, I'm like, okay, like, why'd you do that if you're just gonna, like, force yourself on her?
Right. And basically that's what happened. They go into a classroom and he tries to, like, forcibly have sex with her. And it's not fun. That
Yeah.
was not something I wanted to watch. That
Yeah.
was really a lot for me. But then, you know, Rigel comes to the rescue and instead of them having sex, Rigel and Nika have sex in the classroom.
Which it was interesting because Rigel, like, takes the Blonde Boy and, like, he's like, leave. And the Blonde Boy's like, okay, I'll leave. But this isn't over. And I'm like, wait. Like, it was just so funny because I was like,
And then they have sex, and then the blonde one boy comes back and meets them on a bridge.
Which, how did he know they were there?
Like, and then he's basically just driving.
But he's in a car.
He's in
the car. He gets out of the car and he's like, everything you're doing is terrible. It's wrong. It's icky.
Mm-hmm. And then he's basically threatening to run them over on this bridge, driving like 10 miles an hour.
And they're running slower. Like, they're just like...
They're like...
a leisurely jog.
Yeah, like, and he's just there driving right after them. And then as he, like, picks up a little bit of speed, they jump off the bridge and go into the water. And then Nico wakes up in the hospital.
And Rigel doesn't wake up. He's not dead. He's just in a coma.
He's in a coma. And Nika finds... She, like, basically comes to with her feelings and is like, oh my god, I love this person my whole life. And she goes through the trial. The trial was the only part of the movie I could, like, watch without skipping forward.
That's the part I skipped. She wears these bandages on her fingers, which I still don't understand because she wore them before her parents died. Like, in the beginning, you see them with, like, she's putting a bandage on her mom, and you see she has all of these bandages. But at the end, she just takes the bandages off, and I'm like, what are these bandages for?
They kind of talk about this when she's talking with Anne in the garden, and how, like, she keeps nicking herself on roses or something. It's a metaphor for something. But, you know.
I don't know.
But yeah, basically, the trial was stupid. At the end, she comes back stronger and says this whole speech explaining what Grave was, or what Sunny Creek Orphanage was, and it was really bad, and they were verbally abused. And then everyone starts clapping, and she starts running to Rigel, and she's like, we did it, we won. And I was like, no, you didn't.
Yeah, I was like, what do you mean? I'm like, girl, you left in the middle of it.
I don't think you won the trial. I think you just said something
like, you just said what you said.
Yeah. But apparently they won, and Rigel wakes up.
Yeah.
Because true love.
And then they have a child.
Yeah, and that's weird.
And I'm just like,
it just cuts to them being happy and having a kid. And that's the end.
Yeah. And then he realizes he may be the wolf, but he is the hero of the story.
Right.
Even though you didn't do anything, but lay in a coma. Anyway.
I would just like to say Maria really liked this movie when
it
first came out.
I don't know if really liked is the right word. I am such a sucker for cheesy romances, dark romances, whatever. I think I really liked the beginning of it where it focused on, like, their relationship. Like, even in my final thoughts, I was like, the beginning's very Wattpad-ish. It's very fun. Like, it's just, okay, maybe not fun, but it's just, like, it was just different, and it was, like, interesting. After, like, towards the end, I just didn't like how they handled the ending. I think they tried to make it a lot more than it was. Like, we know what this movie is. We're not expecting it to be this masterpiece. Like, I understand, like, they tried to tackle dark subjects, and I think if you do that, you have to be very good at it. And I just don't think
you have to be consistent.
Exactly.
They just weren't consistent with the storylines.
Yeah.
They just kind of put these dark plot points in
just to have them.
Right, but it wasn't compelling.
And so it just made me feel like, I don't know, like I was just watching the end of it and I was like, I'm dissatisfied with how it ended. Like, it could have been something so much better if they just let it be what it was and not try to make it anything deeper.
It really could have just been a really good, sexy, steamy story.
Yeah, like that's all. It just wasn't all of those things. Like the way they explored the trauma and like the whole thing of like being at the orphanage, like I thought it would be a lot more interesting to see the dynamic between her, Miss Margaret, and Rigel, and like her kind of like him really liking her and Miss Margaret's like not liking that relationship and getting more in depth into why, and kind of like that, because if you're gonna make Miss Margaret the villain, like I feel like that would have been very interesting to see her in that villain of their relationship, because the only really reason why they couldn't be together is because they were stupid. Like, it wasn't like, and I was like, that would have been more entertaining of like, she's actively trying to keep them apart because she has this like weird motherhood obsession with Rigel, because they like hint at it but they never go fully into it.
Right. And there's a lot of alluding to the things that happen in the orphanage, and it would have been nicer to actually see it rather than to just get these random ambiguous flashbacks. Did I use ambiguous right?
Yeah. If you're going to have a plot of like that deepness mixed with like these kind of Wattpad-ish things, like I just wish they did it better for me. Like, I think I'd rather have gone through the storyline of, if you're gonna make the headmistress a villain, make it them like her trying to keep them apart, or have it more like you don't really actually hear anything from the headmistress. Like you get some of her in the flashbacks, but like she's basically the, like, I guess like Blonde Boy was also the villain. Like, I don't know, I think there were just so many story arcs and lines that it just got...
That weren't completed.
Yeah.
This might have been better as a TV show.
Yeah, maybe. I'm just like, I just think you could take Blonde Boy out in general. Like, and it would have been 10 times better.
I think they could have kept Blonde Boy in, but if he just didn't do that last thing.
Yeah.
I think like Blonde Boy would have been fine if he just wasn't evil. Like, why did he have to be every other white man in the whole world?
Well, I just found it hard because their whole thing was like, I just still don't understand how Rigel is this like evil character. Like, he hasn't done anything to be like that bad. Like, he's just brooding. That's basically it. Like, I wish it was really more of like this morally gray character where he's like actually not necessarily a bad person, but I was like, I don't see how he is the, like, how, like, it's just... Well, everyone else was so much worse.
I think that that's the point. Like, he thinks he's the wolf in her story because Miss Margaret kept telling him he was a bad person.
But we don't get to see any of that.
So then we should have just seen more of that.
And that's
instead
like...
of them telling us that that's the case. Because he kept saying all of these things. Also, they're so... not existential, but, you know, existential.
They're weird.
Yeah, they're really, like... deep in their feels. Like, this isn't the type of world I want to live in.
I agree.
How would we rate this on a scale of like 1 to 10?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably rate it a 3.
Yeah, maybe 2.5.
I was like, I liked at the beginning. I liked some scenes. Some scenes had me giggling. You know, like but like, at the end of the day, like, it has to end well, and I just think that really messed it up for me, and I was just like, it's not a rewatchable movie, because like, once you get past the kind of midway point, it doesn't really, nothing really goes well.
It's not fun.
Yeah. And
that was our review of Tearsmith. Thanks for showing up.
Also, spoilers.
Oh yeah. Spoiler alert. We're talking mad shit.
If you guys like these types of videos, like, we would love to keep doing them. So let us know. Let us know how you guys liked it, what you guys thought of the story as well.
If we made you laugh, I hope you like and subscribe.
Yeah, and if we didn't, I hope you like and subscribe.
We're a hoot if you let us speak.
And a holler.
Yeah. Okay, bye.
Bye.